Hello everyone, I hope this finds you well. Today I'm going to do something a little different. With the Thermomix, I usually use the guided cooking. So I go onto Cookie-Do, I find my recipe and I save it to the Thermomix so then I can cook it using the guided cooking step by step by step. Today though, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to use the manual mode. So with the manual mode, that is where I input the information for what I'm going to make. So I usually use this only if I'm doing like a smoothie or something where I just need to blend or something really quick. Today, however, what I'm going to be making is creamed honey. And there's actually not a cookie dough recipe as yet. So I'll keep you posted because what I want to do is actually create a recipe for this, pop it up onto the community and then so recipe community, and then we'll be able to pop it in as a guided cooking recipe. So keep your eyes peeled, we'll have that soon. But for today, I'm going to be using an Elise Alexandra recipe. So this is for the creamed honey. Now you might be thinking, why creamed honey? I've never heard of it, I've never used it. So have you ever had honey in the cupboard that has gone hard and crystallized like this has? So my dad gave me this 1 kilo tub of honey and said, try and find something to do with it. It's gone hard. I'm not going to use it. Now, I don't know about you, but I buy my honey direct from the supplier and it's expensive. So this one I think was about $16 for the kilo. This is from Kyogle. It's a beautiful raw honey, but you don't want to waste it. So I could use it in cooking. Honey, you may know, never goes off. It never actually expires. It does just crystallize. Now, you never want to put honey into the microwave. So I've heard a lot of people or read a lot of people say, oh, just put it in the microwave, it'll melt it again, it'll be fine, you can use it. But it actually changes the texture and the taste. So it makes it a bit more watery, and that's definitely not what you want to do. You really want this raw, beautiful product. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to make creamed honey, which is another way that you can use it. And creamed honey is great as just a snack, so just pop it on a spoon. You can also hide children's medicine in it. So my boys love, if they've got to have a powdered multivitamin or anything like that, I just pop it in with a spoon of honey, just stir it through and then give it to them. They think it's the best snack ever and they're just getting the best medicine into them. So lots of uses for creamed honey. You can pop it onto toast. Don't need to use butter. Just pop it on your toast and there you go. So the best thing with creamed honey is that also it is, a long shelf life with it. So once it is creamed, you pop it in the fridge for about 2 weeks. And then after that, you can just put it at room temperature and it'll be fine for a couple of months. So I'm sure you'll use it up within that time. So I'm just going to remove the aroma because we don't need that today. We'll just be using our mixing bowl, the lid and the measuring cup today. So we've got our mixing bowl with our blades locked into place. We're going to pop the measuring cup into the lid. And I'm just going to go across to my scales. Now you can put from about 250 grams upwards of honey. I'm going to do about 300 or 400 grams today, just to show you how you do it. I could definitely probably wouldn't do the whole kilo at once. You could definitely do a large amount. Now I did have this, I popped it out in the sun for just a little bit. Just to soften it slightly. So you'll see that the texture it is a little bit soft. It's not totally crystallized at the sides there. So that did just soften it a bit. Just makes it easier to get it out of the container and easier to work with. So again, you don't want to put it in the microwave or anything to soften it. Just popping it out in the sun. If you've got a beautiful warm sunny day, if you don't have any sun, you could pop it into just a water bath. So just get some warm water and pop it in a bowl and then sit your jar into that. Obviously this is an easier container to get it out of. So if you did have it in, a container that you couldn't get a spoon into, you definitely want to do that water bath idea first, just to make it easier to get it out of your container, make it a bit softer. It's still going to be that crystallized state. So it's still going to look crystallized. If you can see that, you can still see the crystals on it. So it is still crystallized. It just makes it a bit softer and easier to deal with. All right, so I'll pop this spoonful in and then that'll be enough. So what do we got? We've got 337. So as you can see, you can use, any amount from 250 up to about 700 grams. Now I'm just going to pop the lid on. So go out of the scale section, pop the lid on, go back across to our manual screen here. Now I'm going to set the timer and it's going to go for 3 minutes. Now I don't need a temperature because I don't want to heat it. It will probably naturally heat as it's moving through past the blades, but I don't want to actually heat it because I don't want to damage that honey. So I'm going to turn it to speed 6 and I'm just going to keep an eye on it as it goes. So when it first starts there, you can hear it's a bit stuck and you can hear the blades slowly working up. I can hear it's flicking to the sides, it's moving. Now I'm just going to keep an eye on the temperature because I don't want it to go over 37 degrees. All right, so it's been going for 1 minute now. Now I want to quickly show you what it looks like after just a minute. Now already it's at 37 degrees. So as soon as the temperature registers on the Thermomix, 37 is the lowest temperature, the temperature will show on the screen. So I want to keep an eye on that. I don't want it to go over 37. So you've got to just keep an eye on the temperature there. Now, as you can see, look at that. It's already starting to cream. Now you want to repeat this process and keep going until it is a nice creamy consistency, creamy texture. So just get the back of your spoon or the end of your spoon and just check it. Just get a little bit of the honey and just run it between your fingers. Now that's actually really good. So you don't want there to be any jelly crystals, honey crystals. So you don't want it to be crystally, you want it to be creamy. You can see it is a nice creamy consistency. Now, if it does heat up, if you're doing this process and it starts to heat up, just stop, just pause it and then let it cool down for probably 20 minutes or so. Just keep an eye on the temperature there. If you take your lid off, it will cool down quite quickly because you haven't been heating it for that long. It's only at 37 degrees. So take your lid off, let it cool down a little bit and then start again. Go for another minute and check it. Keep an eye on that temperature. And then you just keep going up to the 3 minutes until it's done. Honestly, I think at that minute, that's pretty much ready. It will depend on how crystallized your honey is, whether you're using raw honey or not. So it depends where you've got it from, but you should be able to use any type of honey. It should work for you. So if you've got any questions, I'd love to hear them. Have you used creamed honey before? If you haven't and you've never heard of it, talk to some of the older folk that you know. So maybe your grandmother, some aunts, uncles, ask them. My dad said they used to use it when they were kids. They used to have creamed honey. I've actually looked, you can buy it in the shops and it's not cheap. For about 500 grams, you're looking at about $13. So, I mean, you might be able to find it cheaper than that, but it's not cheap. It's definitely, and all I've done is that was a minute of blending. That's all it's taken me. So, I mean, there you go. Creamed honey. All I need to do now is just pour that into a sterilized container and it's ready to go. Why wouldn't you make it yourself? Why would you waste that whole jar of honey because it's crystallized? Just make creamed honey. Super simple. So if you hadn't thought of doing it before, make sure you give it a go. Thanks, guys. Take care.